Now I need you to understand something before I get into part 2 of this little video series. I've been to a lot of car shows, a lot of car meets across the planet. Big ones, serious ones, ones with serious budgets, celebrities, influencers, and all of the above. And here I am in Kuala Lumpur, dripping sweat, jet lagged, and I chose pants for my first descent into the madness that is Retro Havok. Not that that has anything to do with anything, but I'll get to that in a little bit. And moving back on to the more serious part, I cannot think of a single event that has more passion and more love than Retro Havok does. Now, if you haven't seen part 1 of this, go watch it, like right now, because a lot of this isn't gonna make sense if you don't watch the first part. I'll wait. Now, for everybody that has watched and or is now caught up, welcome to Retro Havok 2026. Day 2. Any of that chaos, the morning of day 2 started with the official opening ceremony for media, guests, and the press. And I want to say this clearly, it was genuinely impressive, professional in every sense of the word. The kind of production that tells you immediately that the people running this thing are not like me. They're serious. There were speeches, there was intention, there was awards, there was a real sense of occasion. They made every single person in that room feel like they were supposed to be there, including the last-minute guy who borrowed somebody else's hotel room and showed up with 32 plus hours of travel time still in his soul. So I got my credentials, I got my bearings, I found some food, and I set up to edit and release the last video, which, if the comments are any indication, landed the way that I hoped it would. June had finally arrived, and that was what I was hoping for. It was one of the main other reasons why I wanted to come out to Malaysia in the first place, which immediately made everything better. June has this energy. He's always switched on, he's always pumped, and being around him at an event is like having a compass that points you towards all the cool things that are going to be happening. So I love being around June. Now that night for dinner, we hung out with the number 7 crew, as well as all the guys from HPI and some locals, who all of which I cannot say enough good things about. Absolutely fantastic human beings. So thank you guys so much for taking us out and being amazing hosts. All of that day and that evening were just the warm-up. Roll-ins started around 7 p.m. It did not finish until past 1 o'clock in the morning. 800 cars apparently will do that to you. I got some footage of the cars going in as they were kind of parking through, but I mostly just wanted to kind of show the space of the underground cavern that we were going to be all hanging out in for the next day. It's gigantic. Then I headed back up and went to bed because tomorrow was probably going to require everything I had. Now, in my defense, and well, I have no defense, I slept through my alarm, and I'd do it again because I probably needed every single one of those hours of sleep I got. Grabbed a coffee downstairs, took a breath, and descended into what I can only describe as organized insanity. But before I did any of that, I wanted to get June and Maki set up in the hardcore booth so they could actually conduct business like human beings. It also kind of served as my home base away from being in the car show itself, so definitely worth doing that. And here is where I have to be upfront with you about a couple things. First, the heat. It was somewhere above 95 degrees Fahrenheit on the floor of the basement, with the humidity sitting at a comfortable 80% plus. Malaysia does not negotiate on this. The air's warm and wet, and it's everywhere, all the time, and you will sweat from muscles you did not know you had. Second, I chose pants. Full-length trousers to an indoor car show in the basement of a hotel in equatorial Southeast Asia in June. I don't know what I was thinking, but I do know within 4 minutes of stepping down into that basement, I had fully committed to the worst decision of the trip thus far. Consider this a public service announcement. If you ever come to Retro Havoc, wear shorts. Wear the shortest shorts you own. Wear shorts you haven't worn since 2009. It doesn't matter. Just don't wear pants. Now, the venue is a multi-level parking structure, and we were on the bottom floor of that, I think B3 or B2. It has 2,000 parking spots. So calling it a parking garage doesn't really begin to cover it. It's a maze. Every up ramp, down ramp, or corner revealed something new and insane. There's no sight line long enough to take it all in once. You just have to walk it. And I did a quick time lapse from one end of the main floor to the other, then across and back to kind of the main area, just to give you a sense of the scale of this event. It's hard to say that I have ever been to a bigger indoor car show than this. And what I kept coming back to in my head was the diversity of the cars. You have wild one-off builds that are clearly representative of years of work by a single person with a very specific vision in mind that they had committed to completely, good or bad. You've got OEM time capsules, cars so perfectly preserved they feel like they drove off the factory floor yesterday and somehow ended up at a show in Kuala Lumpur. You've got builds that are genuinely silly in the best way possible, and then you turn a corner and there's something so clean, so considered, and so absolutely perfect in its execution that you just stop and stand there and stare, like this Volvo. I did not see that coming. And that happened more than once, more than a few times, probably 20 times as I rounded a corner and was just like, what is that? Local brand builds, Mitsubishi after Mitsubishi, Subarus, Nissans, Toyotas, Hondas, everything you could imagine was down there. And I loved the fact that there were so many of the local brands that were properly represented. And I mean that as a real compliment, not a consolidation prize. Some of the most interesting cars on the floor were the ones built on platforms that I have never seen in my entire life, so they definitely wouldn't be at a car show back home. The Mitsubishi contingent is enormous, probably the most of any single manufacturer at the show. And the range of what people have done to them in that regard is also genuinely impressive. It wasn't just an over-fender Nationals, it was all of the above, choice D. But the thing that got me the most, and this doesn't happen at a lot of car shows, especially in the USA or Japan very often anymore, where you get that, what even is this moment? You're standing in front of something and your brain is like, I think that might be a Chaser. And then you go around to the front and you're like, that looks like a Dodge Neon. I don't know what platform it is. I don't know what era it's from. I don't know what year it is. I couldn't tell you the engine that was inside of it. And you just have to guess. That genuine feeling of mystery standing in front of a car, I didn't realize how much I'd missed that until it started happening out here at Retro Havoc. It was fantastic. Now the crowd kept growing, more and more people every hour pouring through every orifice of this parking garage, pressed shoulder to shoulder around all the cars. Now the heat rose with them, and the noise rose with that. And the whole thing took on this dense, chaotic, alive quality. And I want to be careful here. That's the opposite of what a lot of big car shows feel like. This doesn't feel produced. It doesn't feel managed. It feels like a community that showed up for itself. And I'm happy to be a part of it. Now, at some point, and I'm not going to pretend I timed this perfectly, my body issued me a very clear statement about the pants and the heat and the jet lag and the travel and everything else. And that statement was, you're going to pass out. You should probably go get some air. And so I did. I retired back up to the room, air conditioning cranked as low as it would go, water, and now I'm here, editing this part of the video and processing what I've even seen in the first place. But the day isn't over. There's still more floor, more cars that I haven't gotten to yet, and a second half of the show that I am told by multiple people who I trust more than anything that this rollout gets serious. But I felt like this was the right place to cut. First half, first impressions, full weight of what Retro Havoc actually was, sitting with me. Part 2's coming, and I think it's going to be the one. I may take a quick nap, so stay with me. So I came back up, showered, changed into shorts, which should have been the decision I made at 7 o'clock that morning, and set the air conditioning to its most aggressive possible setting, the one that makes the unit sound like it's personally offended. Straight into the autograph session, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't understand what I was walking into. That line was serious. The energy was serious. These people weren't casually drifting by, they had been waiting for this specific moment. I was lucky enough to be involved. But I want to talk about the part that isn't the signing. It's what happened between the signing. So I was lucky enough to sit next to June and Larry, and in the middle of all of it, the noise, the heat, the hundreds of people pressing in from every direction, we were just talking about life. Not about cars, not about content, not about the event, just life. The kind of conversation that finds its own lane regardless of what's happening around it. It was a rare and strange thing. Completely chaotic environment, completely peaceful moment. I don't know how else to describe it except that some of the conversations do just that. They create their own atmosphere, and that one did. So thank you, June, and thank you, Larry, for making that an extra special autograph signing. After the signing, I did a little bit of shopping. I went to the number 7 booth, got some stuff, got some HPI goods, and then I headed across the aisle to the toy car section. Now, I know that sounds weird. Trust me, I had the same reaction going in, but here's the thing. The toy car section at Retro Havok is exactly as insane as every other part of Retro Havok. Same energy, same obsessive details, same level of people who are completely all in with something they love, but with toy cars instead. Now, by the time I circled back to the main floor, the crowd had grown by what felt like a factor of 10. The aisles that were navigatable in the morning were now just a full contact sport. And the heat. Oh my God, the heat had found another gear entirely. The second autograph session hit harder than the first. More people, tighter quarters, same temperature as the surface of the sun. Everybody there by choice. Nobody complaining. Everybody having the time of their lives. And that's the culture. After that, I scoped some BMX flatland, because Retro Havok apparently also has that. A few more laps through cars I hadn't gotten to yet, then back up to the room one more time for some much needed AC before the closing ceremony. Today was, by any measure, a full day. An overwhelming, sweaty, genuinely joyful day. But everyone I talked to kept saying the same thing. This is just the appetizer for what's supposed to come tonight. As the event wound down, the rollout was scheduled from 10 p.m. till past 2 in the morning. 800 cars and a few exits. A crowd that had apparently been waiting for this all day, because when I say there were more people outside to watch the cars leaving than were inside for the actual show, I want you to understand that I am not exaggerating. Immediately, the garage fills with car emissions, because that's what happens when 800 cars fire up at the same time. And 800 cars worth of exhaust in an enclosed structure is a commitment, to say the least. A physical, tangible, lung-related commitment. And nobody cared. Not a single person, because that was the point. This is what the night was built around. Larry and I started working our way towards the exit, car after car after car, moving in a slow, deliberate procession. Less chaotic than I'd expected, more organized than it had any right to be, and we made it to the tunnel that led out into the street, and that's where the fresh air hit. My actual God, relief doesn't cover it. We stood outside for a while, filmed some pops and bangs, caught a flame or two, one half-hearted burnout, and I'll be honest with you, I was starting to feel a little bit let down, like maybe the rollout reputation was bigger than reality, and Larry and I were literally standing in the lobby talking about how tame it had actually been that night. Then Larry got a text message. The Mercedes, the one with the exhaust pipe routed through the hood that had iron sights on it, was about to hit the tunnel. We didn't walk. We ran. Sprinting back down into the tunnel, we caught it, the Mercedes. And it was 110% worth it. I now understand why the Retro Havok rollout has such a cult following. I understand completely, and it only took about 4 seconds of being blasted in the face by exhaust to understand. And the blast that came out of the front pipe of that car, I don't have the right words for it. It's not loud in the way a car is loud. It's physical. You feel it in your sternum. You feel it in your jaw. My body went into full flight or fight response. Full. Not partially. Every alarm in my nervous system went off simultaneously, and for a brief moment, my brain genuinely could not determine whether I was in danger or not.
That's the best car. Yeah. You win. You win, Retro Havok. I'm burnt. That was a straight up machine gun. Just boom, 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 boom. Like, it went up my nose.
The closest thing that I can compare it to, and if you're lucky enough to have done this, and I want to be careful because I need to accurately word this, is standing next to a fully automatic Barrett 50 caliber rifle. That level of concussive force, that deep, that immediate, that personal. And then it did it again and again for what felt like an eternity, and was probably 30 seconds, but it felt like the most intense 30 seconds I had gone through in a parking structure, to say the least. Now, the next 15 minutes did not let up. Big flames, insane bangs, a crowd operating at a level of pure stoke that I genuinely haven't seen in a long time. People were losing their minds over this stuff in the best way. Screaming, laughing, and absolutely present, all whilst being inside a garage and slowly dying from the inside out. It was insane. Is it pointless? Maybe. Does it make the cars any faster? Probably not. But here's what I know. When people build something, pour time, money, and obsession into a car, and then a community forms around that, And then the community decides that how you leave a car show is something worth celebrating, worth gathering for, worth standing in exhaust fumes for, then that's not pointless. That's the whole thing. And that's exactly what car culture is supposed to be. It's my definition of rad. I walk back to the hotel, partially deaf, missing arm and leg hairs, and having donated somewhere between 3 and 4 years of my lifespan and approximately a quarter of a functional lung to Retro Havok. And I would do every single bit of it again. Retro Havok 2027, I'll see you next year.